All right, welcome to another installment of Film Nobodies, starring Tyler Perry and Jason Perry. Today we're going to review Interstellar. We had some comments.
Yeah, so on the first episode of our podcast, I got a comment telling us to review the film Interstellar. So that is what we are going to do today. I love this movie, so I think this is a great film for our third episode.
Yeah, and I really love it. And kind of going back and rewatching it for this was a good refresher for me because it is such a complicated movie.
Absolutely.
So if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, we're going to talk a lot about the movie throughout, including the ending. So
yeah, very big plot twist kind of ending. So if you haven't seen the movie, I would watch it and then watch this episode
for sure. And just quick recap on it. Really good cast. Directed by Chris Nolan, if you're not familiar. Written and directed by Chris Nolan and his brother, Jonathan, which was a cool fact we picked up on this. But it's got Matthew McConaughey, Jessica Chastain, Anne Hathaway. Who am I missing?
Did you say Michael Caine?
Michael Caine. Okay. It's got a really good cast and some decent performances. The plot is very intricate and involves, really, it comes down to there's a global climate catastrophe in the future, and basically all our crops are dying, people are starving, there's dust, and it's kind of like the Dust Bowl of the 30s, if you're familiar with that. And so from all of that necessitates the need for us to go explore other planets and figure out a way to save the species and move people off. There's a lot of plot twists. There's a whole lie behind the motivations for what they're doing, which is revealed towards the end, and there's some really sneaky villains in the movie.
Yes.
There's a lot of science and real scientific theory that's applied in the plot, which is really cool. I like that. If you're kind of a nerd on that kind of thing, you'll really enjoy that. But there's also a lot of human drama.
It is, yeah.
So you've got the human drama, you've got this global crisis that's unfolding, and you have all the science of trying to fix it coming together with these really cool twists at the end that reveal these fifth dimensional beings, which you don't see. They're all just influencing through design, and you'll see that in the movie. What we mean if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
But really kind of a cool effect on how they pull that off, and was able to weave all of that into one coherent story, even though it is a long movie. So settle in.
3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, warning.
Yeah. Don't get popcorn. Get a meal. You're gonna be there a minute.
And I'm not a big fan usually of movies where you have to watch it multiple times to get it, because I feel like you should just watch a movie once, be able to get it, and then move on. That's the point of a movie. But with this movie, I mean, there's just so many layers. You watch it for the first time and you're satisfied, but then you watch it again and you just find more stuff that you didn't even realize in the first one, and you peel those 50 layers of the movie like an onion. You know. And
I like a movie like that once in a while.
Yeah,
I love
if they do it right.
Yeah, a movie that challenges me, I enjoy that. Right, I want to. I didn't get that. I got to rewatch that.
Absolutely.
That means it's a smart plot. It takes some additional passion to really appreciate it. But so as a real quick recap, we're going to walk through a few things we liked about the movie and some of the key aspects of it. I think number one was cinematography, which I think you're really passionate about as a film major.
Yeah, I definitely want to touch on the visuals, because it's probably Christopher Nolan's most beautiful movie, in my opinion. And I'm just a sucker for cinematography. I mean, it's very hard to pull off good visuals, especially with a movie like that. I mean, it requires a lot.
Well, in this movie, I mean, the visuals really help tell the story. You really you can't do it if you do.
They're essential.
It's gonna ruin the movie if it's not good.
Yeah. So I mean, a few examples that I would like to point out that I thought were perfect were when they're leaving Dr. Mann's planet, and he after he betrayed them, and he's going to the space station, and he accidentally blows up the interlock chamber, spinning the space station, and Cooper's kind of just watching it from the background. I really like the shot where it's super wide shot where it's Cooper's ship watching from super far away as the space station is slowly spinning in circles while the planet is in the background casting they're like silhouettes against the backdrop of this enormous planet. I thought that was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, you had all the suspense of Dr. Mann, who, by the way, is played by Matt Damon, and he's a real douchebag in this movie. The suspense of him getting to the space station and them trying to stop him from doing it.
Yep.
He thinks they're trying to stop him because they're trying to prevent him from taking over the space station.
But he's just
they're actually trying to save his life.
He's just an idiot, right?
Yeah, and then the whole drama of it spinning out of control.
That's what's super incredible is that everything really works together, especially in that scene. Whenever they have this like huge betrayal twist, right? You're focused on that. I mean, the world is beautiful itself, but you're locked in on that part of the story, and it's like, oh my God, is he gonna get away?
Yeah.
He's flying away, and they're chasing after him. Oh my God, and you're feeling that tension because of the writing.
Yeah.
And then they get out there, and then the sound kind of drops. It's silent. While they're like, don't open the chamber, and then they're just in stunned silence because the thing just blew up, and you're just like, oh my God. Yeah. And then it switches to the shot.
So the suspense lead up, and then that sudden, just mute that we hear combined with the visual of it exploding in space, but no sound yet. I mean, it was just all
it's perfect.
It was so dramatic.
Yeah. And in addition to that, I mean, it's not even over after that. He has to go
and save the day.
Day. He's like, it's necessary.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Whenever he drops that line, it's like, oh my God. And then the music builds up again, and then you keep getting those visuals of it spinning, and he's like trying. It's
Cooper's line of it. Tars tells him. Tars is his robot friend. Tells him it's not possible.
It's not possible. That's right.
So Cooper's response to that was, "It's not possible. It's necessary." And then he goes and does it. He's just like, "Oh." Awesome.
It is tagline. In a sense, that's one of the climaxes of the whole movie.
Yeah, you need that like a bumper sticker.
I know. It's insane. And then another visual that I wanted to point out was when they're on Miller's planet. It's like an all-water planet, and I couldn't even really tell if all of it was CGI because some of it felt so real. Like it was so well executed and well done. You see like these enormous wide shots of their ship in the shallow waters, and you just see the vast like shallow waves like spreading across the planet, and then they have these mountains in the background, and it turns out that it's actually an enormous tsunami, and so when the tsunami gets close, you see this just tall wall of water, and I mean it's always stuck with me because it was like very scary to watch. It was almost like a horror movie.
It just crushes them, and then they end up having to ride it. And, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And then at the end, towards the end, you have all the visuals of the black hole and them going into the black hole. Not to mention all the planetary.
Yeah, the black
visuals.
hole's a great visual as well. It's like super iconic.
Yeah. So all of those things, they did a great job of, adapting the story or the visuals to the story and really driving the plot really well because it's so important to the plot is to understand like visually what's happening because all this stuff is so theoretical and so I think they really did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I had an astronomy teacher who actually told me that Interstellar, like so far, I mean this was a few years ago, but it's so far the best example we have of theory being put into place in terms of time relativity in space. Yeah. And I don't know if that's really true, but I mean
it feels true.
Yeah, I mean my professor told me. So
I'm an idiot, but it felt true.
It did feel true. I mean, watching it, knowing that all those really insane things can actually happen theoretically is mind blowing.
Yeah. So I think we want to turn to the intricacy of the plot, which we touched on in the beginning, but I think that's kind of a double-edged sword with Nolan movies in general. But in this movie, the audience, you really have to be the right kind of audience to fully appreciate this movie because there's so much involved, right?
There is.
And I enjoyed it. I think it's a plot that really challenged me as a viewer, and I like that. But you gotta be ready to kind of like follow that plot. It's not one of those ones where you can get up, go to the kitchen while they're talking or whatever, and you're gonna pick up whatever you lost through, just inferring from the rest of the plot.
You have to lock in.
You have to lock in and watch the whole dang thing from beginning to end, or you're going to lose something and it's not going to make sense at the end. Because at the end, you're talking about fifth dimensional beings creating this physical space-time continuum that he can communicate with his kid on, and that's the big reveal and that paradox that I know you really enjoy at the end is where he's talking to his kid through time using gravity. Like
Yeah.
what?
And
So-
it starts out with them like, oh, we're running out of plants to eat, you know, and it's
Yeah.
like such something as grounded as that, and it just gets elevated to such an extraordinary level.
Yeah.
That's what I really appreciate about it being a complicated plot. They really are able to kind of like go through the motions of a simple enough plot, but have all this complicated subject matter that they can tie in at the end. It's actually really, what's the word? Impressive.
Well executed.
Yeah, well executed and impressive.
So I think that if you could sum it up, like at the end of the movie, you have, or not at the very end, but like towards the end, the big reveal and the big climax, I guess, really is you have Matthew McConaughey communicating through Morse code between a space-time fabric that fifth-dimensional beings have created, putting the Morse code on a watch that he gave his daughter 30 years prior, to make the ticking of the second hand Morse code, so she could get all the data she needs from the black hole, the event horizon, so they could figure out how to solve the gravity equation, which is what allows them to put their the space station in orbit and save the human species. So if you're not ready for that kind of plot, you're probably not a movie for you.
Yeah, it's actually insane. I mean, the ending, you know, there's such like a narrow gap for them to fit through to actually solve their problem of, you know, the danger they're in on Earth. That it's insane seeing him like, okay, we can't transmit this quantum data because we're in the singularity in a black hole.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, I could just, you know, move the watch ticker on my daughter's watch that I gave her, and oh yeah, that's Morse code, and she just happens to go, like, I mean, it all makes sense, but it's crazy.
Yeah,
you know?
it really is.
So
yeah, I really enjoy that, how intricate it is, because it's not just about the science, so we don't want to like mislead you. And if you've seen it, we also want to like talk about how great the story is around the human factor, right?
Yes.
So you have this global crisis unfolding, and you have these human beings that are dealing with not only that crisis and how it's impacting their daily life, but also the human drama of people having to leave their families to go on this mission to space, that may or may not pan out. And in doing that, right, they're losing decades of time with their family. Which again, at the very end, Matthew McConaughey is reunited with his daughter, but Matthew McConaughey is only I think a 35-year-old man, and his daughter is on her deathbed. She's literally old and gonna die soon. But they are reunited, and that's a really sweet moment in the plot as well. But there's all of the human drama of her being extremely angry with him. For, you know, and then there's the Michael Caine's character who thought he was doing the right thing by lying to everyone.
Very big plot point.
The deathbed scene, very sad, very emotional, all that kind of stuff. So really cool plot, lots packed into it, and I think really well executed. But if I'm being honest, I had to watch it probably 2 or 3 times before I fully really got it. But that's okay. I think that's what it was kind of intended for.
Yeah, I mean, the movie is super entertaining enough for that to be kind of allowed. You know, you want to watch it again. Because
plenty of suspenseful moments, plenty of action.
Like I said, like there's a simple enough plot that you follow where the first time you're satisfied, even though you probably don't really understand every single little thing that's in it. But anyway, there's a big plot point in the movie, right, where Michael Caine lies, right? A big part driving the plot is when he talks about Plan A and Plan B. Plan A using like this underground spaceship to get everybody, like all of the rest of humanity, off Earth and to this other planet, and that is the part of the plan that drives Cooper to leave in the first place, to go save the world and save humanity. Plan B involves just bringing a bunch of DNA to that planet and just starting, you know, fresh. Obviously, nobody wants to do that, and Cooper is very much against that, and Michael Caine knows that, and so he lies, saying that he's almost figured out the formula to be able to get gravity, to get such a huge spaceship off the ground and into space. He tells Cooper that he's almost there, and like, while you're out there, I'll figure it out, right? But in reality, he already figured out that that's not the case, and that he was lying the whole time. And that part, like you said, the social aspects of the movie is where it gets super emotional because Murph finds out on his deathbed and like relays that to Cooper and his crew on Dr. Man's planet, and that's when everything is just like, oh my god, like he was lying the whole time. Everybody just found out.
Yeah.
You know, it's an absolute revelation, and so Cooper just wants to go home, right?
Yeah.
So you know, aside from all of the visuals and the complicated plot and the science behind it, the social and emotional elements of the movie are what really drive it.
Yeah,
you know,
that's the cause and effect of everything, right? And I mean, Michael Caine lying was this good intentional lie, because if he went with Plan B only, it was admitting that people on Earth were going to die no matter what, and you couldn't tell people that and still motivate them.
Yes.
To go ahead with.
Cooper would have never left the plane.
They would have never left. They would have never done what was necessary to save the species. So he lied.
Yeah.
And
that's where it gets conflicting.
Yeah. So it's. I mean, those are very like real things that I think people would struggle with in that kind of scenario. So. Yeah. So really well done.
Because in the end, Michael Caine was right to do so because Cooper ended up figuring out everything.
I don't know if he was right. I mean, I don't think necessarily he was right. I think that was Murph's point. Jessica Chastain's character was that. That it could have been done in a different way, and Michael Caine, while he was well intentioned, didn't necessarily do the right thing.
Yeah, he didn't go on the right path to make sure it happens.
So I think that leads into our the performances that we kind of want to talk about throughout the movie, because again, all-star cast. Nolan really did pack it with some good talent. But what were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, so I mean, in my opinion, I think in terms of Matthew McConaughey's performance, the main character, I think that this is probably one of his best roles. And going back to what I was saying about the social and emotional parts of the film, a big part of that is whenever he's on the spaceship after leaving Miller's planet, he's only there for 2 hours. Before then, he knows that his daughter is like 10 years old or whatever. And when he comes back just 2 hours later, he's on the ship watching the intercoms, finds out it's been 25 years or whatever.
Yeah, he's got grandkids.
And he's got a grandkid. And, Murph is his age. He said he was going to be back on Earth when she was his age. And he just started. He just started his mission.
Could you imagine that would just be...
Yeah, it's truly devastating, kind of hard to watch.
Yeah.
And so, in terms of his performance, I mean, you see him... I mean, it's iconic. Him crying while seeing his daughter, who's his age, like why aren't you back yet? Like angry with him for not being home yet, And he sees, like his son. He has a grandchild, and the grandchild dies. I mean, he dies like, and he's still out there.
Yeah.
He didn't even get to see his grandchild,
and
his son is like running the farm now. He's in his 30s. It's very, very emotional. You see McConaughey crying and all this stuff, and it really hits you. And that's when I really started to understand that.
Yeah, I think there was 3 performances that stood out to me. One was Matthew McConaughey, especially that scene, and maybe a couple others when he's trying to stop the space station from falling into orbit. That was a really cool. well done performance. And then Jessica Chastain's performance I thought was pretty solid throughout. And the anger she had for Matthew McConaughey was palpable.
Their relationship was really well done because of those performances.
Yeah. And then Michael Caine, especially when he's dying and he kind of reveals that he's lying. I think those were really well done. Generally, I think the performance was across the board were good, solid. I didn't see anything that was like earth-shattering to me or best actor, actress material, but definitely solid performances, very good acting across the board. Anne Hathaway, I have to say, was probably the weakest performance. Not bad.
One of the weaker ones.
But definitely not her best, I didn't think. It felt a little forced.
It just felt kind of by the book.
Yeah.
Like she knew
Matt Damon, I think, was good, but I think he's a standard bearer, right? Like, say, okay, Matt Damon showed up, he did his thing, but...
Yeah, I mean, apparently he was good enough to go on and do The Martian and become the main character.
He was excellent in The Martian. We'll have that for another time, but yeah, so I mean, that was probably one of the things, and you don't really need more than what you got in the performances to make the movie shine. I think the plot is really
Yeah, that's what drives it.
it's what really is the heart of it. So, but from your perspective, you're a big Chris Nolan fan.
Yes, I am a very big Christopher Nolan fan.
So
yes.
from Nolan films, where would you say this ranks and stacks up in his universe?
That's a great question.
You like how I said universe?
Yes, yes.
Little pun there.
I did see that. Very nice. You know, I mean, like, I've thought about this over and over again. You know, I love Christopher Nolan. He's probably my favorite director, if I'm being honest. And I love most of his movies. And it's very hard to climb the ranking for his filmography because most of them are just excellent, in my opinion, right? So, but, I mean, you know, it's going to sound, you know, basic, but I'd say that Interstellar is probably my favorite. It's probably my number one Christopher Nolan.
Is it number one with a bullet, or is it just edging out?
It's just edging out. I'd say number two is Oppenheimer. You know, I love that movie. Talk about visuals. Mm-hmm. That's a crazy movie with visuals, and I thought the performances were even better than Interstellar's. But Interstellar is just on, you know, it's on its own level. Yeah, you know. That's super.
I would definitely say Oppenheimer had better performances. Yeah, for
absolutely.
Sure. But I mean, I agree. I think that if I had to rank Nolan movies, it would be Interstellar first and Oppenheimer second.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like a lot of people disagree about Oppenheimer. People kind of put that lower.
No, I thought it was a fantastic film.
Yeah, I mean it's slower, and I think a lot of the complaints with it deal with, like, you know, how. I mean, it's super. I think it's longer than Interstellar.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a little more cerebral, like Interstellar.
Yeah.
So, and that's probably why you like it so much. Is those kinds of movies speak to you? Other people who say that about Oppenheimer probably think the same thing about Interstellar.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I know that, you know. I think objectively, Interstellar is probably in the top 3 for most people.
You can't check your brain at the door.
No,
either of those movies.
Yeah.
So.
I understand if people don't really prefer those movies because, it's kind of a hard watch sometimes. But
so zooming out, because not only are you a Nolan fan, but also a big space movie fan.
Right, I have the tattoo on my arm. I don't know if you can see it, but right there.
Your dream one day is to make your own space movie.
Yes, it is.
So, in terms of space movies,
where does it sit?
Where does Interstellar sit in that universe?
Okay. I'd still say
the universe thing again.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I did notice. I'd say that it is still at the top. I mean, it's what exactly you look for in a space movie. You know, it's got the grounded plot that keeps the humanity there, but it also has the exploration that makes your brain wander, and it has the theories and the science, so that you know, so everything makes sense, right? So I'd say it's still at the top. I mean, it's not at the top by a mile, but
give me some other comparisons. Like, is there one or two other movies that you would say is right there with? You know?
I'd say my number 2 is probably Ad Astra. Definitely lesser known, but you know, Brad Pitt. I love Brad Pitt, so I'm a sucker for his movies. But it's just a beautiful movie. Probably visuals on the same level as Interstellar, maybe like a little bit less. But I mean, he has to go to Uranus or Neptune, one of those, to find his father, because he went on an expedition, and he passes all these planets, and it's very slow, and the soundtrack is like beautiful, and it goes along with all of the visuals. So I'd say it's up there. But Interstellar, with its complexity and plot, and you know, it's
how dare you not mention Apollo 13?
Apollo 13 is up there. Okay, I was gonna mention this.
What if Ron Howard is watching this right now?
You're right. I'm sorry, Ron Howard. No, I'd say Apollo 13 is very, very well made as well. That one more so in the plot than anything else. I mean, the visuals are amazing, but it's also, you know, a little older. So Interstellar has that layer on it. Performances are. I mean, it's Tom Hanks. You know, it's insane.
So, what about Gravity?
Gravity, I'd say is
the visuals in Gravity.
The visuals are insane.
Might be better.
It's definitely on point.
They're up there.
They're on par with Interstellar, but I don't know. It just didn't really hit the mark for me. I just counted. It didn't grab me like the other ones did. Like I'd say The Martian is one that is incredible. Yeah. I mean, it's just funny.
I
that,
definitely like seeing Matt Damon be a good guy.
yeah.
Definitely prefer that.
It's funny seeing him in Interstellar, and then I think like a year or two later, he's the main character in his
Martian.
own space movie. Like only Matt Damon could do that, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's another excellent space movie. That's one of my favorites.
I'd probably say that's number 3 for me.
But Interstellar's top.
Number top. Very hard to beat. Very hard to beat. It's in my top 10 movies of all time, I'd say.
So, with all that said,
Mm-hmm.
what's your overall 1 to 10 ranking for Chris Nolan's Interstellar?
I mean, I feel like it's pretty obvious. I don't really need to explain myself anymore. I've been really giving this movie its props. So I'd say it's a 10 out of 10. I mean, very very few flaws. It's perfect in a lot of the right areas. It's
That's fair. Yeah.
it's a little hard to grasp. But I mean, it's what I said about The Godfather. It's a lot. It's complicated with the social relationships between the people. It's just like this movie. It's complicated in its plot, and you need to watch it a couple times to really grab it. But when you do, it's amazing. It's almost life changing. So
I'm gonna give it a 4.
wow. Okay, no more podcasts. This is the last episode.
No, I think I probably give it an 8.5.
8.5.
A very, very, very good movie. I did think, if the performances were good and you didn't really need it to carry the movie anymore, but if they had really hit home with performances, it would have been higher up for me. And if they had made the plot a little bit more accessible to a broader audience, that would have been nice. But having all that packed into their, they still did a fantastic job executing it. But I mean, the visuals and the way that they told the story is phenomenal. One of the best movies, really, and definitely to me, but Chris Nolan's best movie. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the part that drags the most, like we talked about before, is the performances, and even then, I mean, it's at the very worst by the book, and at the very most, it's almost stellar.
Yeah.
Interstellar. So, another thing that we forgot to talk about that I just want to lightly touch on before we end this is
just lightly,
okay. Is the soundtrack. I mean, it's Hans Zimmer, at his best, in my opinion. And it's iconic for a reason. I love the soundtrack. I love soundtracks of space movies in general. They're just kind of beautiful to me. But this one in particular, I mean, Cornfield Chase, Stay, like I know those songs in my head. I know what they sound like. They stick out. It's almost John Williams-esque in terms of iconism, right? So maybe I'm not on John Williams' level, but in terms of being iconic.
Is iconism a word? I don't think it's a word.
I think it's a word. If I'm not, you can call me an idiot. That's fine. But it's iconic.
Yeah.
I will remember those songs for the rest of my life, and they really go well with the movie. And they also know when to choose to eliminate all noise whatsoever to really emphasize what's going on, like with the space station. They make it silent, and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Right. How do you feel?
Definitely a good soundtrack. To me, it didn't hit as hard,
really?
as it does for you. But I could see why that would be, something you really loved about the film. To me, it's when you hear a soundtrack and you end up humming it in the shower. That's when it's really resonating with you. And I don't see that happening with Interstellar.
That's fair, yeah.
But not like the way that the Jurassic Park soundtrack or the Star Wars,
John Williams,
or anything John Williams does, right?
I think we can both agree that John Williams is the best composer of all time.
Yes.
In terms of Hollywood, at least.
Yes, for sure. Definitely the best in my opinion. But I can see why someone would really love the music. It was beautiful. It was really well done.
Yeah.
It just for whatever doesn't.
Does it pique your fancy as much?
Yeah, it didn't pique my fancy.
Yeah.
So.
But I guess we'll wrap it there with this episode. We appreciate you guys again for watching this third installment. this should come out pretty soon. And then the fourth one after that will be Halloween related. We will be doing the original Halloween from 1978, right?
Correct.
1978.
John Carpenter.
Yep.
Written by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill.
Yep. So look forward to that one. But in the meantime, thank you guys for sitting through this one, and we'll see you in the next episode.
All right. Have
Bye.
fun.